mean, they are really good in the ring together. Nobody can deny that. But the matches between Batista and Triple H, every single one of them were just that good. They just really had great chemistry together. From, I think this was the first time that we actually saw somebody just manhandle out of a pedigree. I remember seeing Triple H set up Batista for the pedigree. He goes up once, nothing happened. He goes up twice, nothing happened. And then you just see his hands just getting torn apart from each other, and Triple H's face of just like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And just seeing that from Batista hitting the Batista bomb and pinning Triple H 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, it was a great moment for Batista, and he earned it. And for a lot of people that don't know, that was also the night that he gave his wife Angie at the time a proper proposal. I mean, he got a nice little ring, and even Triple H said, for him to take that moment and have all the attention go from him to her just shows you the kind of person that Batista was. And that's why I do have respect for Batista. As great as a wrestler as he was back then, he was also a true man and just an amazing person. We go from there to the Backlash matchup, in which we saw so many unanswered questions, because we saw Triple H hit the pedigree on Batista, and the referee got knocked out. And again, it was just again awesome just seeing that matchup and seeing the ending. And I remember, I think it was 2 weeks later, Batista said, you had your rematch against me, you had your spot in the tournament, but then you got eliminated in the first round against, guess who? Chris Benoit. And I just remember that line of, maybe you're just not good enough to face me again. And it just shows the big chip on Batista's shoulder. And I just remember hearing Triple H just saying, oh, you think this is going to be LV? It's going to be screw you, Triple H. Oh, well, let me tell you something. It's not going to be screw me. It's going to be screw you. And he just walks out of Monday Night Raw. A few weeks later, defends the title against Edge, and seemingly him and Ric Flair have a great relationship. And unfortunately, that turned sour because Triple H returned. Flair gave a low blow. Batista gets beaten down. And I just remember the chilling... oh man, I'm still getting goosebumps from this, hearing Triple H just saying, you want to fight me now, huh? You want to fight me now? And he utters the 4 words that back then just sent major chills down your spine and just made you think, oh my God, this is insane. He just says, hell in a cell. And again, the match at Hell in a Cell, brutal, just really downright one of the most huge Hell in a Cell matches. I think it was one of the better Hell in a Cell matches, seeing both Triple H and Batista, and they just both had a great matchup in there. We saw the pedigree from Triple H finally after a long time, and still Batista was able to find a way to pull out victorious. Batista then got moved over to SmackDown, and Triple H would soon come back and face Ric Flair, and then go on to face, John Cena, and we all know how that matchup turned out. But, yeah, those are the top rivalries from 2003 to 2005. I'll do 3 more in, not next week, but in 2 weeks. So that way it's not like I'm talking about the same thing over and over and over again. So be sure to stay tuned to that. That is going to wrap it up. But before I close it, I wanted to talk about this. And this might turn into a rant. This might turn into a small deal where people are probably going to be thinking, they're going to have mixed reactions about this. There is an article by Vivid.com, for those of you that don't know, is an adult site, an adult porn industry, something like that. And they actually offered WWE Hall of Famer Sunny, Tammy, for those of you that might not be familiar with the name, they offered her a $100,000 for the Hall of Fame ring of Sunny's. But there's a caveat that she would have to do a 90-minute sex scene. And she can pick the person, she could pick the scenario, but they wanted to do that. And to me, it's one of those things, well, okay, first of all, she did put her ring up on eBay to be sold, to sell. And it doesn't mention, I think she just wanted to get, not necessarily that close the chapter of wrestling. She just wants to kind of move on with her life and stuff like that. But at the same time, come on. And I know a lot of other Hall of Famers have done this, where they've sold their Hall of Fame ring. But you have to also remember that this is something that WWE kind of really makes into a big deal. I mean, if you're not just a regular person, if you're just given a Hall of Fame ring, there's something special about you where they want you to have this as a remembrance, and they want to give you the time to talk about your time in wrestling, to talk about your time with WWE, and just have almost like this sort of, farewell, to say the least, unless they have you as a Legends contract, like with Shawn Michaels, Edge. They had Billy Graham coming on a couple times. They did that with Dusty Rhodes. They did that with Roddy Piper. They did that with so many different people, and it's just really disheartening for me. And I've heard the back and forth, deal that they had with. It's a 21-minute deal. If you want to check it out on the Don Tony Kevin Castle show, they talk about this whole situation in which Don Tony kind of understood where she was coming from, and Kevin Castle was pretty against it. I'm kind of siding with Kevin Castle on this. It's just one of those things where, understandably so, that she makes it seem like she had a big role in WWE, but she really didn't. I mean, even when I saw her with the Survivor Series, she just did a little commentary here and there. She wasn't like a major deal. I mean, if Alundra Blaze were to do it, that she was a big deal. I'm going to say that right now, and that's why it would just be awesome to have, Alundra Blaze come out during a possible, championship resurrection between her and Becky Lynch. If she wins the title, she can be like, hey, just, forget this title. I'm going to bring it to something more classy. And before she even has a chance, here comes Alundra Blaze, and it's kind of the passing of the torch. If Sunny were to do something like that, I think it would be less meaningful because she didn't really have that much in the way of a difference, even though she says that she did. And a lot of people can disagree with it. It's just my opinion. I just don't see Sunny having that much of an opinion. Not much of a, didn't really matter as much in WWE back then, and she still doesn't have that big of a role right now. I mean, after her Hall of Fame, how many times did she get arrested? How many times was it for, drug possession or for something like that? And she's doing a lot of these, Skype deals in which you can, get her on Skype for 30 minutes, hours, something like that. Which I can understand she's trying to get the money, but have some self-respect. Come on. It's one of those things where it's just like, okay, well, I don't know how to make money. Should I get a job? No, I need an easy way to make money. Should I do eBay stuff? They'll help me out every now and then. How about we just do the porn industry? How about that? Well, yeah, look how well that's working out for, Chyna and X-Pac. I mean, X-Pac comes in now and again, but Chyna, because of that, it's hurting her chances of being, in the WWE Hall of Fame, because Triple H said it, that if her daughters were to check out, the name of Joni or the name of Chyna, eventually they're going to come across the deal that she had, been she was in a porno. Oh, geez, I almost sound like a Family Guy a character. Make a porn. It's make a porno or making porn. But having that really hurt her, chances of being in the Hall of Fame. And it just seems like now, after being inducted in the Hall of Fame, Sonny's just like, well, I'm unbreakable. I'm untouchable. I'm this, I'm that, and I'm blah, 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 blah. And somehow she just thinks that she's better than everybody. And I just don't like that about her. And I don't know if this was just somebody else trying to get money from me, or if this was actually real Sunny who tried, possibly getting money from me to do an interview with her. But I think she went from maybe 500 to 150. And then she would do it with her in Chyna. And it was like, okay, this seems kind of weird, but I guess if this is how they want to make money, I mean, whatever. And am I going to have Sunny on my podcast? No, definitely not. Am I going to have Chyna on my podcast? No. I just think that they're both not exactly the kind of role models that they think they are. And I just think that they need to really get their lives straightened out before they even consider being in another Hall of Fame or something like that. Because really, Chyna was the ninth wonder of the world. And she did make a difference for WWE. She made it so that, it was cool to be like, Chyna. She was always that person who could take on bad guys, take on guys, period. And she could take them down. And she won a couple Intercontinental title runs. So that says something. To go from that to what she's doing now, it's just not as, it's just not as, good as you would think it would be. She just went downhill. Same thing with Sunny. She was kind of like in that medium, and then she went downhill. So I just don't like the idea of, somebody selling a Hall of Fame ring when it comes to, especially in WWE or any sports, because then WWE or, hockey, basketball, football, baseball, whatever, they might as well just create these replica rings and just sell them on their Shop Zone. But what would that do? That would put so much, that would take that prestige that was in the, WWE Hall of Fame or the MLB Hall of Fame or in the NBA Hall of Fame, whatever, and they would just make it that much less prestigious. So I think that I understand why they probably want to, sell the Hall of Fame, especially if it's, somebody like Paul Bearer or somebody who's passed away. They want to, not only sell it for the money, but they may have a good, reason behind it. Maybe they want it for some kind of foundation for remembering that person or make a difference in somebody's life. But if they're just doing that just because they can, they've lost all respect for me. And I'm not even kidding. It's just one of those things where it's like, really? You're just going to sell it just because you can? That's just one of those things where I'm just drawing the line. It's like, okay, you wanted to cross that? Fine. You've lost all my respect. So that's kind of my thoughts on the whole thing dealing with Sonny and the Hall of Fame ring deal. I just think that they should really make the Hall of Fame seem a little more prestigious and a little more, worthwhile than that. And I'm not just talking about WWE Hall of Fame. I'm talking about every Hall of Fame in general. Well, folks, that is going to wrap it up for the Pro Talk Wrestling Show. Be sure to like me on Twitter at Pro Talk Wrestling. Be sure to look me up on YouTube, Mr. NTG1990. And be sure to tune in tomorrow when I will have the Let's Talk will return. And it will be an awesome show when I talk about movies that happened in 2015, my thoughts on them, and things looking forward to in the year 2016. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in for Royal Rumble this Sunday live on the WWE Network for the low, low price of $9.99. Hashtag cheap plug. All right, thank you guys so much, and have a great day.